Hi, good morning, class. This is lecture number 1 for March 30th, Monday, March 30th. Okay, and I just wanted to cover 3 different topics really quickly. After I graded all your papers and your assignments on Turnitin, I just had a few comments and a few ideas that might help everybody. Okay? So, the first thing I want to talk about is vocabulary, okay? And in your, shoot, sorry, in your vocabulary book on page 129, this was one of the vocabulary assignments that I'm having you rewrite. There's a verb that a lot of people tried to use, and it's stem, okay? So, there were a lot of misunderstandings. I got a whiteboard. Let me see, that doesn't work though. Okay, there we go. So, see if I can get a marker open with one finger. Good. All right, so let me explain the word stem. Now, in your vocabulary book, this is a verb, okay? Usually, and it's a very good verb. It's a good academic word to know. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Usually this word is a noun, and this is kind of, I'm a bad drawer, but a picture of what it is. Okay. It's springtime, so I thought I would get a tulip in here. Okay, so this is a tulip, a type of flower, and stem is here, and it's a noun. Okay, now if you know biology, the purpose of the stem is to bring nutrients from the ground all the way up to the leaves or the flower, right? So when we have a verb stem, it means that there's one thing that starts and then it branches off into other things, okay? For example, currently we have a coronavirus, as we know. That's why we are doing this. The coronavirus. Now, we could write a sentence. The coronavirus stems from bats in China. Okay, I don't know if you have done research on the coronavirus, but it started in bats in China. Okay, and then what happened is it spread. Okay, so stemming. So it started with one source and then it goes into human beings all over the place. So it's talking about the source. And as you can see, this is a verb. Okay, another example of stem. For example, his intelligence stems from his father. So in this case, stems, his intelligence stems from his father. Stems in this case means comes from. That's like the definition, okay? So again, this is a very useful verb in the English language. And I wanted to describe it because many people in the vocabulary assignment tried to use this word and were unsuccessful. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was vocabulary assignments in general. So let's see here. So let me see, my computer went to sleep, but I'm going to pull up the vocabulary assignment in just a second. Okay, so this is the vocabulary assignment that I assign for every chapter. And it says choose one of these activities. Write an example sentence using the word that you found online or in a book. Then create your own super sentence with each word. So for example, we'll use the example of the word STEM. Okay, now I like to do A and B, but you can do whatever you want. Okay, I'm going to look up the word online. Okay, to STEM, example sentence. Sorry, I don't know if you can see this. Hopefully this will work. I didn't try this ahead of time. So use STEM in a sentence. Okay. All right. Let's see here. This is, okay. Such trouble. Here's one here, right down here. And the first one here, a rose has thorns on its stem. Okay, that again is talking about the stem of a plant, and stem here is a noun. Here, such trouble stems from carelessness. So that will be my example sentence. And of course, you're typing these up. I'm writing them so I can be more communicative, hopefully. Carelessness. Okay, so hopefully you understand all of those words. If you don't, then maybe choose a different sentence. And then we want to do our own sentence. So we have the one from online. Okay. Now we want to create our own sentence. Our problems of toilet paper. Sorry, this is the first one that came into my head. Shortage. Stems. Can you see? From people's panic because of the coronavirus. Okay, I don't know why that was the first one that came in my brain, but that is a good sentence because you can tell from the context that I understand the word stems and how to use it. Okay, so that's how you do vocabulary. So each word, you choose 10 words. Each word has 2 sentences, one that you find online or in a dictionary, another one that you make up yourself, you create. Okay, so I told you about the word STEM and I told you about vocabulary assignments. And the third thing I wanted to talk to you about is the narrative essay. I received a few narrative essays from you and very nice stories. I enjoyed them. But there was one kind of overall problem that I saw with everybody's essay. So I wanted to address that problem. In general, they are amazing. You guys did a good job. Now, I don't know, I think I threw away my papers about my parents' meeting. I think you remember that story because I was writing my outline about when my parents met. Okay, so the problem with the essays that I see, the general problem is that you're not putting enough detail about the story, okay, the storyline. you're just giving general ideas of the story. And you're giving, the good thing is that you're giving a lot of feelings. You're talking about the feelings of the main character, which is really good. But the storyline needs to be developed more. So, for example, and hopefully this will help you, my parents, let's say my story was the body paragraph. Now, your introduction and conclusion paragraphs are really good. So I'm just focusing on the body paragraphs, the main action in the story. Okay, so introduction, conclusions are good, just the body. So I'm going to give an example of my parents' meeting with a body paragraph now. I'm not going to write it, I'm just going to speak it, and hopefully it will help. Okay. So they met when they were in college, and the girls were having a party, and the boys wanted to come over, but they were nervous, so they were throwing toilet paper wads at the girls' windows. And then they decided to call. So the boys called the girls, and my dad was on the phone, and my mom was on the phone, and they said hello. And they started talking. Now, that is too small of a narrative. Okay, it's not enough of the storyline. So instead of writing maybe 5 sentences or 5 ideas, I need to develop these ideas more. So I could say, for example, one day in my mother's junior year of college, she was in a sorority, and her friends decided to have a party for the boys. There was a fraternity house next door, and so they decided to invite these boys over for a party. The boys were a little nervous though, and my dad was over in the boys' fraternity, and he was a little nervous, as well as the other boys, to come over. So instead of coming over and being mature, they decided to throw toilet paper wads at the girls' window, and which is basically you put the toilet. It's really gross. You probably know, you put the toilet paper in your mouth, and then you take it out, and then you throw it. So they were doing that to the girls for a while, and then the girls got very angry because they had invited them over to a party and they were doing this to them, so they decided to call them. So they picked up the phone and called, and the phone, because they were kind of silly girls and the boys were kind of silly too, the phone kept passing from one person to another, because of course this was before cell phones existed. It was one landline in each house. Finally, the phone landed at my dad and landed at my mom. And my dad and mom are not silly. They are pretty calm and serious, and they started talking through this mess. And at the end of the conversation, my dad said, I would like to get to know you more. So can we go out on a date? And my mom agreed. So that week they went out on their first date, and that's how they met. Okay, so you can see how I put in many more details on the second story. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can put more details in your stories as well, so that they're better. All right, this is lecture number 1, and I will record lecture number 2 in a minute.